across India. Is the biggest irony as the Vadra Congress holds Bharat Jodo Yatra? Is it just another desperate tactic? Robert Vadra tweets his own photograph for own Congress Bharat Jodo Yatra poster. BJP calls it Parivar Jodo campaign. Another Trinamool Congress minister raided by the Central Bureau of Investigation. Law minister's residence searched in Kolkata and Asansol. Delhi Lieutenant Governor receives complaint against Delhi Chief Minister. Kejriwal says Exchequer duped over 1 crore rupees. India sheds colonial baggage. Prime Minister to inaugurate Kartavya Path, but the lobby seems to be outraged. Good evening, viewers. Hello and welcome. You're watching This Is Exclusive with me, Shavan Sen. We are broadcasting live from Mumbai. Starting with the day's top story. The big exclusive that we're getting for you tonight is with regards to Vicky Middukhera. Remember, the Delhi Police Special Cell has made multiple arrests in this particular case. In fact, we are now given to understand the mastermind has also been arrested. And not just that, they've also recovered arms and ammunition, which includes grenades. Now, how exactly was this plan hatched? Who exactly was behind it? And for how long was this really planned? And what were the repercussions on the ground? All of that part of the investigation that's been carried out by the Delhi Police Special Cell. In fact, here is a report, and then we go across to my colleagues from Chandigarh as well as the National Capital to get you the latest on the Vicky Middukhera case.
The Delhi Police Special Cell have claimed to have busted a conspiracy to rescue the killer of Youth Akali Dal leader Vicky Middukhera from Nalagarh court. Police claim criminal terror nexus was involved in rescue bid. Meanwhile, all 4 assailants and logistic provider have been arrested. The local mastermind, co-accused of dreaded Dilpreet Dahan, has also been arrested under UAPA. According to officials, the network was being run by absconding Lucky Patial from Europe and Rinda Sandhu from Pakistan. Police have also recovered arms, ammunition and grenades. Earlier, the Himachal Pradesh SIT visited Delhi and interrogated 3 persons after they were arrested by the special cell of the Delhi police. Vicky Middukhera was killed in Mohali in August last year when 4 men fired around 10 bullets at Mator market. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Let me now bring in my colleague Piyush Mishra, joining us from the National Capital, and Amandeep, who's joining us from Chandigarh. Amandeep, I want to come to you first just to try and explain this to all our viewers who are tuning in right now. Who exactly is Vicky Middukhera, and why exactly is it so very important, given the fact that the Delhi Police Special Cell has essentially been working on this case for quite some time? We'll then come to Piyush for latest details in terms of what the Delhi Police Special Cell has essentially found in its investigation. First to you, Amandeep, with regards to who exactly is Vicky Middukhera and what's the importance?
Leader of student organization of India, that is the student organization of Akali Dal, and in fact he is a very close associate of gangster Lawrence Bishnoi, and even he was being killed in Mohali sector 71 in a broad daylight. And in fact the killers was basically belong to the rival gang of Lawrence Bishnoi, that is Bambiha, Devender Bambiha gang, Lucky Patial, and they all are from one gang, and in fact a huge rivalry is going on and resulting to the killing of Vicky Middukhera. And after that, the revenge killing of Sidhu Moosewala, and in fact the assistance was being provided by Lucky Patel from Europe and Harvinder Singh Rinda, who is basically presently residing in Pakistan and providing all kind of support to these gangsters. So a gang, this is a result of the gang war, Shravan, and even Vicky Middukhera was associated with Lawrence Bishnoi gang, and Sidhu Moosewala is basically what we are told that is being associated with the Davinder Bambiha gang, and even that was a revenge killing. That is the reason these two killings has shook the Punjab very badly, and in fact the trend of the gangsters are openly in out. And even recently from the Baddi court, two gangsters tried to fled the Ajay Patel from the custody of the police, who actually is the main accused of Vicky Middukhera murder case. And in fact in this entire nexus, Shravan, this nexus is not very much restricted to Punjab or National Capital or Haryana. Basically these gangsters are getting this financial assistance as well as the weaponry from cross border, and even Harvinder Singh Rinda is one who is actually playing in the hands of ISI and providing all kind of support to the gangsters here in Punjab. And in fact another his associate is who is presently sitting in Europe, and in fact he is the one who was arranging the finances as well as using the network to carry out certain kind of plans in Punjab as well. And that is the reason Vicky Middukhera was being killed in a broad daylight, and even 10 bullets have been pumped. And in fact that entire incident was captured in a CCTV, and we have shown that how Vicky Middukhera was killed. And in fact after killing Sidhu Moosewala, Lawrence Bishnoi gang claimed, Goldie Brad claimed that this was the revenge killing of Vicky Middukhera, just because Davinder Bambiha gang killed Vicky Middukhera and even Lawrence Bishnoi gang killed Sidhu Moosewala. This is how the gang war is basically going on. But the point and the fact of the matter is that they are getting arms and ammunition very easily, or very easy access to everything, and even these weapons are being supplied to them from the cross border, from here in India, and logistics, financial support, everything is being provided to them so that they can easily carry out and execute their plans in Punjab, even in National Capital or in Haryana or in different parts of this nation as well. But this gangster trend is now emerging with the pro-Khalistani, just because Shravan, Harvinder Singh Rinda is the one who is actually operating the Babbar Khalsa International Organization. That is a banned outfit, a pro-Khalistani organization, and Rinda is basically based in Pakistan. He was the mastermind of RPG attack on Punjab Intelligence Headquarters as well, and he's the one who is actually tried to establish the Khalistan agenda in Punjab with the help of ISI. But now these gangsters and pro-Khalistani minded people, they merge together and they execute their plans here in Punjab. The gangsters are basically planning the gang rivalry, and the pro-Khalistani are establishing their agenda by spreading the name of the Khalistan in Punjab as well. And that is the reason they are easily getting the arms and ammunition, finances, as well as the logistic support as well. And in fact the recent incident of IED plotted under the car of sub-inspector in Amritsar, there also the Pakistan link established, just because one cop was being arrested, and in fact even they had plans to fly to Dubai and in fact further to next destinations. Yes, Shravan.
Thank you very much, Amandeep, for getting us the latest details from Chandigarh. Let me quickly go across to my colleague Piyush Mishra, who's getting us the latest from the Delhi Police Special Cell. Piyush, I just want you to focus largely on this entire operation that was carried out by the Delhi Police Special Cell, and what is the major terror link that's essentially emerging? We are now given to understand that they're also looking at the Pakistan link that is essentially emerging. Put this into perspective in terms of the operation that has been carried out by the Delhi Police Special Cell.
Well, absolutely, Shravan. A major operation was carried out by Delhi Police's Special Cell, and they have now arrested all the assailants who were involved in a conspiracy where they were trying to rescue the killer of Youth Akali Dal leader Vicky Middukhera. If you talk about this operation, remember that it took place on Monday. The incident took place on Monday, where 4 people reached at Nalagarh court. They tried to rescue the killer whose name is Ajay alias Sunny from the Nalagarh court, and this happened when he was being produced in a hearing. Now let us talk about the operations. Delhi police, since then they were looking for these 4 people, and now what we are given to understand is that massive amount of arms, ammunitions, and also the people who were behind providing the logistics to this gang, they have also been arrested. SIT team from Himachal Pradesh has also come to Delhi to interrogate these persons who have been arrested by Delhi Police's special cell. And a pre-planned operation was done by Delhi Police, and the conspiracy of rescuing a killer of Youth Akali Dal has now been busted, and that has been done by the top officers of Delhi Police special cell. Also, if we talk about this entire case, remember that Vicky Middukhera was shot in broad daylight in Mohali in August 2021, and at that time all the killers were arrested, and out of them was one of the persons is Ajay Alasani, who was produced before the Nalagarh court on last Monday. And when this was being done, 4 people reached there and they opened fire, but they were unsuccessful in rescuing him, because soon after that the police there came in action and busted that bit also of rescuing him. We'll have to wait and watch how the further investigation further takes place, but that is now being seen a big conspiracy being busted by Delhi Police Special Cell, where all these 4 assailants have been arrested and a massive amount of arms, ammunitions have been recovered, and the people who were providing logistics, they have also been arrested. Shavan.
Right. Well, thank you very much, Piyush and Amandeep, for getting us the latest on the Vicky Middukhera story. Shifting focus now to the other top story that we're getting for you tonight on This Is Exclusive. A big crackdown by the Income Tax Department. Over 50 locations where the searches were basically carried out. But this time, the target was little-known political parties. What's the allegation that has been leveled? We are given to understand that there are certain bogus donations that were made to these little-known political parties, that too through entry operators. Corporate firms have also basically come under the scanner. But what's very important to point out here is that a report was essentially prepared by the Election Commission on these little-known political parties, which were essentially aiding more for these donations that were basically coming in, and thereafter money once again being rerouted for the corporate firms. Take a look at this report, and then we get you the latest update as far as the searches that are being carried out, and also there are surveys that are being carried out on certain think tanks in the national capital and other cities.
In a massive crackdown on political donations, the Income Tax Department carried out raids at over 50 locations across the country. Searches are underway in multiple cities including Delhi, Ghaziabad, Lucknow, Gurugram and Jaipur. As per sources, this action was taken on reliable intelligence inputs. The bogus donation to little-known political parties are being probed by the IT department. Most of the donations have allegedly been received in cash, which has been used as a tool for the laundering of funds. Several corporate firms are under the scanner of the central agency. Sources have told Republic that the IT department is trying to identify those behind the bogus donation, their intention, and whether it was an attempt at tax evasion. The raids are underway, but as of now, the identity of political parties in question is not known. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
Let me also bring in my colleague Priyanka Sharma, who's joining us from Ahmedabad, and Vivek, who's joining us from Lucknow. Over to you first, Priyanka. In terms of the searches that are being carried out in Gujarat at this point in time, a large focus essentially was at least in 3 states that we were given to understand. One was certainly in Gujarat, the other happens to be in Rajasthan, and the third being in the state of Bihar. As far as Gujarat is concerned, what is it that you're picking up? Any names whatsoever with regards to the little-known political parties?
Well, yes, Shavan, what we can tell our viewers is since the wee hours of morning, there are raids that are being carried out in at least 25 locations across Gujarat, specifically in Ahmedabad and in Gandhinagar as well. There are some names that have come to light, but let me first also talk about the entire modus operandi as well that the authorities parties have known about, and they are in fact, talking about how the money laundering aspect of it was being carried out by these dummy political parties. There are at least 23 locations of these dummy political parties that are also being raided upon, and also not just that, there are some links to the Aam Aadmi Party as well that have come to light, at least talking about specifically in Gujarat. And these are some of donors that are being raided upon by the authorities. These are donors or dummy. We are seeing how the raids are being carried out in at least 23 locations, including the Silver Oak College and several other such big names here in the city of Ahmedabad, who have been who have had well-known links to these political parties, specifically the Aam Aadmi Party as well. Now, this is a very well-known fact that the authorities have known, and now we are seeing that the authorities are cracking down on this, specifically on these dummy parties and, of course, these organizations as well that have been linked to those parties in terms of donors, and also these corporates that are located in the state of Gujarat who have been using these dummy parties to carry out the entire money laundering operation as well. So all of those locations are being raided upon right now. The income tax department, in fact, has been carrying out this raid since at least 5 a.m. in the morning is what we know of. And they are, in fact, still carrying out. And they've also told us that the digital evidence, the documentation, the cash as well, all of that will be seized by the authorities, and perhaps we will get those images by the end of the day after the raids are concluded, because this is a massive operation, Shravan, we need to understand, that is being carried out, and also it becomes extremely important to look at in the state of Gujarat since the elections are due in this year itself.
Well, thank you very much, Priyanka, for getting us the latest report from Ahmedabad. Let me also bring in our senior executive editor, Abhishek Kapoor, from the Delhi newsroom. Abhishek, this perhaps is being seen as the largest crackdown on political funding. What's very important to point out here is that there was a detailed report that was prepared by the Election Commission, and especially these little known political parties which happened to be a route for black money to being funneled in. What is it that you're really picking up at this point in time? And also if you could shed light on the Election Commission report on political funding.
Shravan, so this was in the making for a while. Election Commission had, been asking the government with its report that the authority or the power to deregister political parties which are not active, which are clearly being used as, money channelizing platforms. The Election Commission should have power to deregister them. I think an halfway house has been found where these searches being carried out clearly show the intent, which is that these almost 3,000 odd registered unrecognized political parties, and this is a mind-boggling number given the fact that there are only 4 or 5 national parties in the country, about 50 odd regional parties in the country, Shravan, and in that scenario to have almost 3,000 small, unknown, you won't even recall their names, such recognized unrecognized political parties, those had to be brought in the net of some kind of surveillance, and that's exactly what is happening. So I think this is aimed at plugging the funding loopholes that exist in our electoral system, and that's why this major swoop going on across the country. Of course, parallelly, Shravan, you have been reporting since morning, another round of surveys are going on by the Income Tax Department on certain organizations which on the face of it act as think tanks, on the face of it act as VCs or funders of activities in the media, particularly new age media and social media platforms, but ultimately they are also seen to be pushing certain agendas. So I think this has been well thought through, and after many reports and suggestions coming in from the Election Commission, those essentially getting incorporated in the actions being taken by the CBDT. Shravan.
Well, thank you very much, Abhishek, for putting this into perspective. Let me also quickly bring in my colleague Vivek Rai, who's joining us from Lucknow. Vivek, आपके सीधा सवाल ये करना चाहूँगा कि जिस तरह से रेड छापेमारी चल रही थी उत्तर प्रदेश में, ये कहा जा रहा था कि कुछ छोटे ऐसे पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज है कानपुर में और लखनऊ में जहाँ पे छापेमारी हो रही थी, आप वहाँ पे थे, कुछ और डिटेल्स बता सकते हैं कि किस तरह से ये पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज कहीं ना कहीं इनके पास जो एंट्री अपॉर्चुनिटी से डोनेशंस आती है वो कहाँ से आ रही थी, और साथ ही साथ जो कंसर्न्स है इस पूरे मामले को लेकर क्या जानकारी है आपके पास?
देखिए, अगर उत्तर प्रदेश की बात करूं तो उत्तर प्रदेश के तकरीबन 24 ऐसे ठिकाने हैं जहां पर आज छापेमारी हो रही है और सुबह तकरीबन 5 बजे जो आईटी की टीम थी वो इन सभी जगहों पर पहुंची है। और आपको बताऊं कि उत्तर प्रदेश में राजधानी लखनऊ के साथ साथ कानपुर और सुल्तानपुर, इन तीनों जगहों पर ये छापेमारी की बात बताई जा रही है। और लखनऊ में जिस जगह पर छापेमारी पड़ रही है वो गोपाल राय का घर है, जिनकी राष्ट्रीय क्रांतिकारी समाजवादी पार्टी, जिन्होंने 8-10 साल पहले अपनी ये पार्टी रजिस्टर कराई थी। इसके अलावा कानपुर में जिस पार्टी के यहाँ रेड हो रही है वो जनराज्य पार्टी है। तो वहीं पर सुल्तानपुर की बात करें तो अपना देश पार्टी है। 3 ऐसी पार्टियां हैं जो कहीं ना कहीं कहीं भी लाइमलाइट में नहीं रही हैं, लेकिन इनके ऊपर पॉलिटिकल फंडिंग का आरोप लगा हुआ है। और 2022 चुनाव में, जो अभी कुछ दिनों पहले उत्तर प्रदेश विधानसभा चुनाव हुए, ये कहा गया कि इन छोटी पार्टीज के माध्यम से पैसा रूट करके बाकी जगहों पर पैसे पहुंचाए गए। और अगर लखनऊ की जो रेड हो रही है, लखनऊ की रेड की बात करें तो गोपाल राय, जिनके जो राष्ट्रीय क्रांतिकारी समाजवादी पार्टी के राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष हैं, उनके यहाँ की बात की जाए तो उनके यहाँ पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के अलावा तमाम NGOs के माध्यम से भी पैसे रूट करने की बात निकल के सामने आई है। क्योंकि गोपाल राय खुद केंद्रीय लोक शिकायत एवं जांच संस्थान, एक उनका NGO है जिसके माध्यम से वो लोगों की मदद करने के नाम पर एक NGO चलाते हैं, जिसमें ये कहा गया है कि उसमें भी कुछ ऐसे फंड्स आए हैं जिनका इस्तेमाल, उनका जो पैसे आए हैं उनका इस्तेमाल उन्होंने ऐसी जगहों पर किया जहां उसका इस्तेमाल नहीं होना चाहिए था। या यूँ कहा जाए कि इसके अलावा दूसरे NGOs की बात करें तो प्रबुद्ध महिला एवं शिल्प कला केंद्र, ये भी उनके यहाँ एक NGO चलती है। इसके अलावा अखिल भारतीय गौरक्षा परिषद, इसके नाम पर लोगों से फंडिंग का, उनके ऊपर जो IT कंपनीज जो वहाँ पर पहुँची हैं उसका भी फंडिंग कहाँ से आई है उसके बारे में जाँच कर रही हैं। और नेशनल फेडरेशन ब्लाइंड संस्था, ये 4 ऐसे NGOs हैं जिसका देख रेख गोपाल राय करते हैं, उनके यहाँ इसका ऑफिस है। और इन तमाम चीज़ों को लेकर के उनके ऊपर आरोप है कि जो हवाला के कहीं ना कहीं पैसे हैं या कुछ ऐसे पैसे जो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज़ के नाम पर, फंडिंग के नाम पर उनके पास पैसे आए और उनका उन्होंने दुरुपयोग किया है। तो कुल मिलाकर के ये कहाँ से पैसे आए, कितने पैसे आए और कहाँ उनका इस्तेमाल हुआ है, इसकी जाँच कर रही है IT की एजेंसियाँ। लखनऊ की बात की जाए तो 8 सदस्यीय जो टीम थी वो सुबह 5 बजे पहुँची थी। कानपुर में भी ऐसे ही 8 सदस्यीय टीम सुबह 5 बजे पहुँची थी। सुल्तानपुर में तकरीबन 6 बजे 5 सदस्यीय टीम पहुंची थी। और वहां पर अभी भी बात की जाए तो अभी भी जो रेड्स हैं वो अभी भी जारी हैं। और कहीं ना कहीं ये जो जिन पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज़ का नाम ये सामने आ रहा है वो कभी भी इन पार्टीज़ का नाम ऐसे सुनने में नहीं आता था और ऐसे गुपचुप तरीके से ये पार्टीज़ बनी हुई हैं। और ये इनका जो कहीं ना कहीं एक तरीके से मोटिव ये समझ में आ रहा है कि जो फंडिंग इधर उधर के अपने सोर्सेज से फंडिंग करा करके और उस पैसे को दूसरी तरफ रूट करना, या पॉलिटिकल जब अभी इलेक्शंस हुए तो उन इलेक्शंस में उन पैसों का इस्तेमाल करना, या यूँ कहा जाए कि जो बड़ी पार्टी जिन जगहों पर पैसा नहीं खर्च कर सकती वहाँ पर इनके माध्यम से पैसों को रूट कराना। तो ये कई ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जिसको लेकर के IT कंपनी, IT को ये चीज़ें की कुछ जानकारी मिली है और इसी कारण से उन कागजात की जांच कर रही है, उन फंड्स की जांच कर रही है, उन डॉक्यूमेंट्स की जांच कर रही है और कहाँ से कितने पैसे आए और उन पैसों को कहाँ रूट किया गया, इसकी जाँच फिलहाल IT की टीम कर रही है। और तमाम सवाल जवाब सुबह से ही चल रहे हैं, तकरीबन 12 घंटे से ज़्यादा का वक्त हो चुका है और सवाल जवाब अभी भी जारी हैं। और कहीं ना कहीं डॉक्यूमेंट्स की जांच करने की कोशिश है कि जो इनकी बैलेंस शीट है, या यूँ कहा जाए कि जो इनका
Well, we're also getting in some more breaking news right now. A bit of a clarification that basically no searches were carried out at CPR. It was essentially a survey that is being carried out at the think tank CPR. Apart from that, we're also being told that IPSMF, that's also another think tank where the surveys are being carried out by the income tax department. Remember, all of this are now basically part of a larger crackdown by the income tax department. Now, it's a little different than what we are seeing in the political parties case, where searches are being carried out at over 50 locations. In this particular case, surveys are being carried out, so which essentially means there's a limited mandate that the income tax department has. Let me also bring in my colleague Abhishek Kapoor, who's joining us on this broadcast. Abhishek, all that we know as of now, that these are surveys that are being carried out, very different than what was essentially being told, that searches perhaps. We are picking up that there were no searches, but these are surveys that are being carried out. I just want you to put this into perspective as far as the organization IPSMF is concerned and CPR. what is the role of these organizations, and secondly, in terms of the crackdown from the income tax department?
Well, Shravan, so these are organizations registered under Societies Act, essentially as non-profits. They have tax exemptions galore, and they channelize funds to organizations in turn, or actually do the kind of work which is more in the nature of political positioning, which is more in the nature of agenda setting. And so it's interesting to find out who all are behind them. So, I mean, irrespective of the fact that they have FCRA registration, they have relevant permissions under the IT Act or other prevalent rules. But what is important is that whatever work they do, in the case of IPSMF, which is Independent and Public Spirit Media Foundation, and it has ATG exemptions, and it essentially gives assistance to neo-age media. So what kind of funding is provided to which media platforms and for what purposes? Because remember, there has to be a revenue model to any activity. So if you are giving money, how is it coming back, in what form, either in cash or kind? And if in kind, is it influence peddling? So those are interesting aspects, and that's why I think these organizations have kind of come under the scanner, as in the case of IPSMF, so in the case of CPR. Remember, CPR is a big organization and has some of the many respectable names, including, for example, former Foreign Secretary Shyam Saran. So we are waiting a statement from these organizations as well. What is important is that the case has gone on this morning, and it seems that there might be an element of foreign funding, and that's why they have come under the scanner.
Well, thank you very much, Abhishek, for putting this into perspective. A massive crackdown by the income tax department, with now think tanks also under the scanner. Important to once again point out that there were those searches that were basically carried out at CPR and the other think tank that Abhishek was pointing out. These are surveys that are being carried out at their offices in Bengaluru. That's what we are picking up on this edition of This Is Exclusive. That's all that we could pack in this edition. On the other side, live and breaking continues.
परिवार को बचाने की यात्रा है। ये परिवार का पार्टी पर नियंत्रण बना रहे, उसके लिए यात्रा है।
Robert Vadra make himself face of Bharat Jodo Yatra. Rahul's Bharat Jodo Yatra. What beyond desperate antics? Arnab debates at 9 p.m.
Amity has been ranked among the top universities globally for producing the most employable graduates by the Times Higher Education UK. Yet another testimony to Amity's excellent placement record.
Meanwhile, TMC workers staged protests outside West Bengal Law Minister Molloy Ghatak's residence. They protested against the CBI raids. TMC leader Anubrata Mondal produced before the Asansol court in the cattle smuggling case. Anubrata, who was arrested by CBI, was sent to 14-day judicial custody, which ends today. The Income Tax Department is conducting raids on political parties across the country in connection with the illegal donations. According to sources, these political parties were involved in serious financial impropriety by receiving donations without due statutory compliance. IT raids are underway across 5 cities. Delhi government has banned the production, storage, sale and use of firecrackers till 1st January 2023 to help now rein in the pollution levels of the national capitals, which it suffers every year during Diwali. Speculations are rife over Robert Vadra's official entry after he tweeted his photograph on a Congress poster at a Congress Yatra. BJP has filed police complaint against DMK IT wing head and MLA TRB Raja after targeting Veer Savarkar in his post. The post, which was deleted later, had an image of a Hindutva ideologue, Veer Savarkar, on a black bird hitting a Hindu god.
कांग्रेस का समय में तो भारत दो टुकड़ा हो ही गया था। अभी Umesh Katti, Karnataka's Minister of Food, Civil Supplies and Consumer Affairs as well as Forests, passed away due to a cardiac arrest at his residence in Bengaluru. The BJP leaders from Karnataka, including the Chief Minister Baswaraj Bommai and the Revenue Minister R. Asoka, called his demise a great loss to the BJP and to Belgavi.
Well, the massive protest is now being done by BJP workers in front of Manish Sisodia's residence. Manish Sisodia, इसको बर्खास्त करो, हमारी ये मांग है. BJP MLA who is now being detained here.
An individual was reportedly beaten to death over 500 rupees in Etawah in Uttar Pradesh. Family members of the victim held a protest and did not accept the body for cremation, demanding compensation for the victim. A case under the said Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribe Prevention Act has been filed against 4 people. The Union Home Minister Amit Shah and the BJP National President JP Nadda held a crucial meeting with the union ministers to allot clusters to them for preparation of the 2024 general elections. With less than 2 years to go for the general elections, the Lok Sabha Pravas campaign was launched by the Home Minister and the BJP National President on the 25th of May.
Got independent, we chose a system of democracy. Unfortunately, we continued with the imperialistic mindset and the powers who be it, and thus it was necessary to change that particular aspect. We get inspired by the right ethos and right fundamentals.
Why are some repulsed by renaming Rajpath? Time to shed the subservient mindset once and for all. Arnab debates at 10 p.m.
Is the biggest irony as the Vadra Congress holds Bharat Jodo Yatra? Is it just another desperate tactic? Robert Vadra tweets his own photo on Congress Bharat Jodo Yatra poster. BJP calls it Parivar Jodo campaign instead. Other TMC minister raided by the CBI. Law minister's residences searched in Kolkata and Asansol. A pan-India income tax raids over bogus political donations. Over 50 locations searched across India. Delhi LG receives complaint against Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Says exchequer duped over rupees 1 crore. India sheds colonial baggage. Prime Minister to inaugurate Kartavya path, but the lobby is outraged. All right, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is all set to inaugurate Kartavya path and unveil the statue of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose at the India Gate in Delhi on 8th of September. That's tomorrow. As India sheds its colonial baggage, the lobby is outraged, however. Why are some repulsed by renaming of Rajpath? Let's look at this report and listen to the Prime Minister as well.
किसी भी कोने में हमारे मन के भीतर, हमारे आदतों के भीतर गुलामी का एक भी अंश अगर भी अभी भी है तो उसको किसी भी हालत में बचने नहीं देना। अब 100% सैकड़ों साल की गुलामी ने जहां हमें जकड़ कर रखा है, हमारे मनोभाव को बांध करके रखा हुआ है, हमारी सोच में विकृतियां पैदा करके रखी है, हमें गुलामी की छोटी सी छोटी चीज भी कहीं नजर आती है, हमारे भीतर नजर आती है, हमारे आसपास नजर आती है, हमें उससे मुक्ति पानी ही होगी। ये हमारा दूसरी प्राण शक्ति है।
Central Vista to be known as Rajpath is non-compliant with the ethos of this country. And the fact is that when we got independent, we chose a system of democracy. Unfortunately, we continued with the imperialistic mindset, and the powers who be it continued to follow the same path. And thus it was necessary that we change that particular aspect, and we get inspired by the right ethos and right fundamentals. If you look at the history of our country, this particular place was built by imperialistic powers. This road and this region was called Kingsway, and the other intersecting road was called Queensway. So Queensway's name changed to Janpath, but this only became a Hindi translation of Kingsway, which became Rajpath. So the sense with which the administrators or the leaders who be it joined their position of power were ruling over somebody. You don't rule over your own people. You work in coherence together. There has to be a feeling of service and togetherness when you sit in certain positions of power. Now, Prime Minister Modi ji has repeatedly spoken about this, whether it was his address from the Red Fort, several other instances, even in our cabinet meetings and all. He's repeatedly said this, that inspiration has to be duty. Duty is what you all have to be bound with. Repeatedly he said this. And now if we see the emphasis that post-independence, this whole place is being redone, and redone better than what it used to be earlier. That is what independent India is all about. Also, the concept of duty is not new to India. In fact, this is an ancient concept. This country has seen people like Shravan Kumar, who were duty bound to take care of his parents. This country has seen people like